People think the scariest thing on the water is a storm. It is not. I have been in storms. A storm is loud, honest, and simple. The scariest thing I ever faced was a woman in white linen pants, standing on a private dock with a clipboard, smiling while a 12-year-old boy waited for help across the bay. My name is Ethan Cross. For 18 years, I served in the Coast Guard. Rescue swimmer first, boat operator later, then instructor when my knees started sounding like old porch steps. When I retired, I promised my wife, Chloe, I would slow down. We bought a quiet house in Harborside Point, a polished waterfront community outside Savannah, Georgia, where every mailbox matched and every bush looked like it had signed a contract. Chloe loved the screened porch. Our daughter loved being near the water, and I loved the old boathouse behind the property. I kept a 24-foot rescue skiff. There, registered with the County Volunteer Marine Unit. If a call came from the marshes, inlets, or sandbars where ambulances could not reach, I could be moving in under 5 minutes. That little boat made me feel useful again. It also made Victoria Vance feel personally attacked. Victoria was president of the Harborside Point Community Association, which was like being queen of a country nobody voted for. She had silver hair that never moved, oversized sunglasses, and a voice so calm it felt rehearsed. The first time she came to my dock, she looked at my rescue skiff like a health inspector looking at gas station sushi. "Mr. Cross," she said, tapping her clipboard. "Motorized commercial vessels are not permitted in residential slips." "It is not commercial," I said. "It is volunteer rescue." Her smile tightened. "That is still an activity." I showed her the county registration, insurance, and emergency responder ID. She barely glanced at them. Rules to Victoria were not tools. They were weapons with nice fonts. Soon, she'd find me 4 dock lights, orange life rings, and the small sticker that said Rescue Unit 7. Chloe called it my pirate ship. I told her pirates had better homeowner associations. Then came the morning that proved Victoria was not confused. She cared that someone in her perfect little kingdom had something she could not control. It was a Saturday in September, bright and windless. I was in the garage when my radio cracked alive. 3 tones, sharp and fast. My body reacted before my mind did. "Cape County Dispatch to Rescue Unit 7. Do you copy?" I grabbed the radio. "Rescue 7, go ahead. Juvenile male, 12 years old. Severe asthma attack after capsized near Pelican Cut. Family stranded on a sandbar. Incoming tide. Ground access unavailable. You are the closest marine asset. Can you respond?" Pelican Cut was 10 minutes by skiff, maybe 40 by any official boat coming from the marina. A kid with asthma, panic, and salt water in his lungs did not have 40 minutes. Dispatch, Rescue 7 responding. I am 5 minutes to water. I ran through the house, grabbed my go bag, and took the back steps 2 at a time. The skiff was fueled. The tide was right. The bay was open, except my dock gate was locked with a bright yellow chain I had never seen before. Then I saw Victoria at the top of the shared walkway, phone in one hand, clipboard in the other. Behind her, across the service lane that led to my boat ramp, sat her pearl-white Range Rover, parked sideways like a smug little wall. "Victoria," I shouted. "Unlock the gate and move your car." Now, she raised her phone higher. "Oh, I am documenting another violation. Mr. Cross, you were warned not to operate that vessel until board review is complete. There is a child out there who cannot breathe, and there are procedures," she said, as if procedures had lungs. I felt something old and hot rise in my chest. Not fear, not anger exactly. Purpose. "Victoria, listen to me carefully. This is not a neighborhood dispute. This is an emergency response." She gave me that candle store smile. "Then I suggest the proper authorities handle it," I thought. about cutting the chain. Then I thought about the seconds it would waste, the argument it would start, the way she would step in front of me just to make herself matter. The tide was moving. The boy was waiting. So I stopped talking to Victoria. I ran past the boathouse and yanked the cover off my backup craft, a smaller flat-bottom boat I used for shallow marsh work. It sat on a low trailer near the grass, ugly as a toolbox and just as dependable. The bank beside my house dropped into a muddy tidal creek. It was not a ramp. It was barely a suggestion. But I had launched from worse. My neighbor Mateo came out in pajama pants holding a coffee mug. "Ethan, what is going on? Kid in trouble?" I said. "Need a push?" He put down the mug and ran. Victoria was still filming when the outboard roared to life. The sound tore through Harborside Point like a chainsaw in church. Mud swallowed the trailer. Tires Mateo shoved from the side. I shoved from the stern. The boat slid, hesitated, then dropped into the brown water with a slap that sprayed marsh mud across Victoria's perfect service lane. Her Range Rover took most of it. She screamed like the mud had insulted her ancestors. I jumped in, hit the throttle, and the prop wash kicked up a dirty fan of water, eelgrass, and oyster grit. It blasted over the white doors, polished wheels, and little gold association badge on her windshield. Victoria stumbled backward, her white linen pants now decorated by the Atlantic coast. "Ethan Cross," she shrieked. I did not look back. I was already gone. The ride to Pelican Cut was all muscle memory. The boy's name was Logan. His inhaler was lost in the water. His father was trying to keep him upright, but the tide was climbing fast around the sandbar. When I saw them, the mother was kneeling beside the boy, her face broken open with terror. Logan was blue around the lips. I cut the engine shallow, jumped into knee-deep water, and moved like the old days. No drama, no speeches. Just hands and breath and orders. "Look at me, Logan. You're going home today, buddy. Stay with me. I got oxygen on him. I got him upright." 10 minutes later, we transferred him to the county boat near the main channel. By the time he reached the hospital, he was breathing on his own. That should have been the end of it. In a sane world, a kid lives. Everyone goes home, and the lady with the clipboard learns the difference between rules and reality. But Victoria did not live in a sane world. When I returned, 2 police officers were waiting near my dock. So was Victoria, pointing at her mud-covered Range Rover like it was a wounded relative. Her hair had collapsed on one side. There was eelgrass stuck to her shoulder. "He attacked me with a boat," she shouted. "He used that motor to assault my property." Officer Miller, older and tired in the eyes, looked at me. "Mr. Cross, want to explain?" "Emergency call," I said, handing him my responder ID and showing him the dispatch log. 12-year-old asthma emergency. Gate was chained. Lane was blocked. I launched from my property. The younger officer looked at Victoria. "Ma'am, did you place the chain on the gate? And did you park there after he said it was a medical emergency?" He was violating community restrictions. Officer Miller stared at her. "Ma'am, interfering with emergency response is not a community restriction. It is a crime." All the color left her face. He did not arrest her that day. Instead, he gave her a warning so cold it could have preserved seafood. Victoria drove off in a Range Rover that looked like it had lost a fight with a swamp. 3 days later, we received a certified packet. Fines for unauthorized launch, sound disturbance, and environmental displacement of mud. A demand that my rescue skiff be removed within 10 days. Chloe put the packet on the kitchen table and said, "Ethan, this woman is not going to stop." She was right. So I stopped playing defense. First, I complied so perfectly it became painful. I sent daily photos of my dock lights. I filed a formal request to wash mud off Victoria's vehicle, including a diagram of safe hose angles. I delivered polite marine route notices to every house on our street. People started talking. Mateo had been fined for a blue kayak. Mrs. Avery had been fined because her grandson left sidewalk chalk near the curb. Paula, a retired teacher, had paid $2,000 over a fence stain Victoria approved, then later denied approving. That was when Chloe opened her laptop and said, "I want to see where our dues go. My wife is quiet, but she is dangerous with spreadsheets." By midnight, she had found it. Harborside Point paid a company called Vance Coastal Maintenance almost $18,000 a month for landscaping, dock checks, and shoreline appearance management. The owner was Victoria's brother. The invoices were vague. The same work from 3 outside companies would have cost less than half. Victoria had not been protecting the neighborhood, she had been harvesting it. The emergency board meeting happened the next Thursday in the clubhouse. A beige room full of folding chairs and people who had spent years being afraid of envelopes. Victoria stood at the front, polished again, voice smooth again, acting like mud had never touched her life. "We are here," she said, to address Mr. Cross's repeated disregard for the peace and safety of Harborside Point. I waited until she moved to vote on removing my boat. Then I stood up. "Before you vote, I want you to hear why that boat exists." I played the voicemail from Logan's mother. Her voice filled the room, shaking, grateful, raw. "Mr. Cross, they told us you got there in time because you were close. My son is alive because you came. I do not know how to repay that." No one moved. Even Victoria looked smaller. Then Chloe walked to the projector and put up the invoices. "This," she said, "is what we pay every month. This is what 3 other companies quoted. And this is the owner of the company." The photo appeared, Victoria at a family barbecue with her brother, both smiling beside a sign for Vance Coastal Maintenance. The room exploded. People stood up. People shouted. Years of swallowed anger came out all at once. Victoria tried to call for order, but order had changed sides. Mateo stood first. "I move for a vote of no confidence." Paula seconded it before he finished the sentence. The vote was not close. Victoria was removed that night by the same rules she loved using on everyone else. 6 months later, Harborside Point is still quiet, but it feels human now. The new association president is Paula, and her first rule was simple. Emergency responders are allowed to respond to emergencies without asking permission from a committee. Revolutionary stuff, I know. My rescue skiff is still behind the house. The life rings are still orange. The dock light still shines when it needs to. Victoria sold her house 2 weeks after the meeting. Rumor says she moved inland, somewhere with no docks, no boats, and no tide. I wish her peace. I really do. But I also hope her new neighborhood allows white pants, because the ocean clearly did not. So now I want to ask you something. Was I wrong to launch that boat and cover her? Luxury car in mud. Or was Victoria wrong the moment she decided rules mattered more than a child's life? Have you ever seen someone use a little bit of power to bully everyone around them? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to Ho Drama Neighbor for more. Because this story is not just about one woman, one boat, or one neighborhood. It is about what happens when ordinary people finally stop being afraid of the clipboard.